I'm Ronnie.
I'm Duran.
Man, this world is insane, Duran. I don't know what's going on nowadays. Why couldn't it be as simple as it used to be back in the days? Now it's just like with all the cameras and all the social medias, all you see is a bunch of nonsense. And it's hard to know what to believe nowadays. You know, especially like how old media was.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you would hear stuff on the news and you would believe it or you wouldn't, and it would get you scared for what's going on. And then, you know, like the Y2K thing. Oh, everything is going this and nothing fucking happens.
Right.
So now you have, you know, social media, which is corrupting all of the younger generation's mind, the new generation's mind, and it's kind of hard. It's like, are you really going to believe the shit that you see? Like, for instance, let's just give out a topic: aliens, UFOs. You know, it's just mind-boggling to me that, you know, you see these images. Like, for instance, I don't know if anybody's looking on Instagram or if you've seen Instagram, or it may be on YouTube, blah blah blah, where there's this alien that's like tall as hell, looks deformed, and it's in this guy's backyard. And I don't know what the hell it's doing, but he sees this light, and then he sees this alien, tall as hell. And I'm like, all right, you see this alien who looks like he's been animated. Yeah. Like somebody created him, and you know, you can do all this stuff through the applications nowadays. But I'm like, so you telling me this alien only showed up in your backyard, and he looks like an animal, this strange animal, but he only showed up in your backyard, and nobody's ever seen this alien ever again. Nobody's seen it anywhere.
Right.
He just showed up in, you know, California and said, hey, I'm here. Check me out. Then he's going to show up in Ohio and he's going to be like, hey, I'm here. Like, so they only show up in one area. Nobody else has seen anything. And I'm just saying in particular, not just aliens in general, but it's just so much stuff. But this is just one thing that is going on so continuously that I'm like, what are we talking about here?
That reminds me of the Futurama episode where they go back in time and you have Truman being shown he's going to go see what is Zoidberg, and of course Bender misconfigured as a spaceship, and they have the crazy photographer who takes a picture and it's all grainy and all this other stuff. To your point, the thing I find interesting about that is, okay, so if you're trying to maintain secrecy and I don't want to be detected, I don't want to be seen, first of all, how would it know and why would it care? When humans go to a new place, we aren't tiptoeing around the whole thing going, oh, I don't want anyone to see me or anything to see me. But also, how would we know what is dangerous and what isn't, what should and shouldn't see us to sit, and how they see things, what their senses are, to know, well, I'm only going to show up at night. And if you're trying to maintain secrecy, why would you go to the same place every time?
Right. It makes no sense. You wouldn't be secret. It wouldn't be secret because it's too many cameras. There's too many people looking. There's too much going on. Like this is the era of the cameras in media. You can have your own phone and be the media person. So it's new media, and you're telling me that nobody else is going to see this? You're the only one seeing this. Nobody else.
Yeah. How are they flying in so quietly?
Yes. And you mean to tell me the government don't have things to detect things in the air or coming into the atmosphere? Like, come on. I'm just saying that it makes no sense. The people's logic here is stupid. Like, it's to me, it's just trying to either it's views for views. Like, I'm going to fill out all of this stuff and I'm going to get views on this so I can get more money. Like, you can tell it doesn't even look real. Like, and how do you know, scientifically we're speaking, how do you know that these things can even survive on our planet?
Right.
You don't know anything. So they're just coming in hot, not even knowing if they can survive.
Right.
And just walking around, just looking at shit. Like, No, like I just don't believe everything I see. My biggest point about this is in social media today, it's just too much bullshit. And our kids are being like brainwashed. I'm not happy about if they remove a lot of the things, but I think a lot of social media needs to be removed because kids don't even go out and play anymore.
Yeah.
They're on their phones, on social media, they're on YouTube, they're on TikTok. Definitely TikTok. I mean, it's like they're brainwashed to be focused on nonsense. Like, when did TikTok and Instagram become your TV?
And when did they become the source of news? And why are they the source of news? Entertainment, fine, whatever, but news?
Maybe because anybody can upload their own stuff, and you see things like on the news. You would not see, you know, things that you shouldn't be able to see. You would not see somebody getting killed on TV.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
they wouldn't show
they
that.
would not show that. But in social media age, you can see that directly. And people will continually go watch somebody get killed and act like it's something funny or something cool. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids seeing that shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's bad enough you got to deal with it around you, but now you got to deal with it online too. And it's brainwashing.
Yes, that's one of the. So I don't know if you remember the incident in Mogadishu when the Black Hawk helicopter was downed. Yeah. And I don't know if you remember the news coverage tied to all of that, but even then, when you had the video that came out of the tragedy, which was a real tragedy, the media was very careful about what they showed and how much they showed. And as a side note, when people sit there and they complain and they say, oh, well, the United States doesn't care about what happens to Africa and Europe doesn't care about what happens to Africa. It was actually Somalia. Prior to Somalia, we were going around policing the world, trying to stop a lot of the genocides that were going on. Somalia had disintegrated. It had broken up into, I mean, it was just chaos, warlords fighting all over the place. And the Black Hawk Down incident actually left us gun shy, which is why you then saw what you did in Bosnia and Herzegovina and then in Kosovo and Serbia, and why that went on for as long as it did with the rape camps. My point being, to exactly what you're talking about, the news generally has tried to be very sensitive. And even if you listen, for example, I listen to the BBC World Service all the time. And I actually really enjoy it. It's typically good coverage, and they'll let you know what we're about to discuss may be distressing. And usually even then, after they've given that warning, it's still fairly sanitized so that you can have an older child present and not feel bad kind of deal. The problem that I see today is a lot of parents don't have control over their children's, what they're accessing. And that's exactly to your point. And so you go down a rabbit hole, you become more and more desensitized to absolutely horrible things. They have videos of beheadings and shootings and all kinds of things online. And their entire website's dedicated to this kind of stuff. And I mean, you're seeing the same issue with pornography, children and pornography. This will persist and get worse, honestly, if we as parents, you of course are a parent, I'm a parent, if we don't maintain that control. Although I do have to say, the schools, there are schools that hamper that, because when my children were younger, for example, the school sat there and would tell all the kids in the class, oh, well, let us know if your parents ever hit you. Because if they hit you, we can report them for child abuse and they can't hit you. And then you start getting children who run over their parents. I'm not saying anything about whether or not hitting is or isn't right. But what I am saying is when you have an adult actively turning the kids into snitches, you're undermining the parents and their ability. And now they're scared to do anything that the kid may take issue with, because they're going to report me. And if they report me, then it's potential jail time. The kids get taken away, and without any proof, it's a bad situation. And it's really bad, though, for the development of the children. It's incredibly bad for the development of the children.
Speaking of that, there's a difference between disciplining your child and beating your child.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's something that people don't understand. Like, you can't tell me what to do with my child and how I discipline my child, but it's a difference if I'm beating my child. Right. And most people are doing that beating their child. But when you're trying to discipline your child, they consider it the same thing. It's not the same thing.
Yes.
And that's why it's crazy now, because kids are not getting disciplined.
Right.
Back then, if I even cussed in front of my grandmother, it was a backhand to the face. If I cussed to another person next door, the neighbor, I got backhand to the face. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, there was more. It was strict.
Yes.
Today it's like no restrictions to anything. And then when the government or people start coming down and censoring everything, then it's going to be a problem. Well, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? Well, we're out of control.
Right.
The world is going back to shit. Like, what are we doing? I thought we were getting rid of things and making things better, but we're bringing things back because that's how people always wanted it.
Right.
And it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, we're going backwards, not forward.
Right.
And, and what are we doing about that? Like, we can go all day. Like, the biggest issue is about the gun thing. They're trying to take away the guns, but also, people are still going to find a way to get guns. Okay. And it's without the discipline to the kids, without disciplining your children the right way, whatever that may be to you, we're going to continue having these, murders and all these different things and rapes and killing for nothing. Like, it's senseless because we're not doing anything about it. Yes. And social media is putting that. You talk about game. Remember when they used to say the games were the cause of violence?
Yes.
Well, now games. You can't say video games are. Social media is. If my kids see somebody shooting somebody, they might think that's a good thing. I'm going to go do it too. Because that's the answer to it. If somebody bothers me, go shoot them. That's not the answer. It's like social media is raising the kids.
Yes. Okay. This is actually really perfect because there are a fair number of journalists in my family. And one of the most interesting things that I have learned coming from people who have seen it over their lifetime is they watch the change where it used to be that if someone killed people, say at a school or in the family or what have you, that wouldn't make national news typically. There are exceptions, Lizzie Borden, of course. But by and large, that kind of stuff was not reported on. And when it was reported on, it was only within that local sphere. One of the big things that we've seen since Columbine is those get reported on, and then it doesn't. For a long time, it was just national coverage, right? Now it's international coverage. You're going to be so famous. And this is exactly to your point about the TikTok fame, Instagram fame kind of deal, where people are chasing that, and it's a mental illness. People with mental illness who are chasing that need for validation because they don't understand good attention and bad attention, which they should have learned as children, as young children, but they, for whatever reason, they haven't. They go on and they commit atrocities videotaping themselves and posting it on YouTube or Instagram, etc.
Well, now that we talk about validation, let's move into this validation stage. It goes with everything. And even now, kids are needing that validation because most people don't have parents in their life and different stuff. So they're looking for somebody to give them that approval, the stamp. And you see that even in our field. How many times do you see somebody who has potential, but doesn't really believe in themselves, and they don't want to go further? They don't want to hear from somebody who's an expert at it, but wants to say, hey, look what I did. I did a remote shell on this, and I got this and that, and I was able to use Meterpreter and this and this and that and do that. Okay. Is that anything new? We know that you can do that. You've done it great. Why are you telling me?
Right.
And why do you have to show it off?
Right.
Your work speaks for itself. If you're good at what you do, you don't need validation from anybody. But when you have problems mentally and you have problems within inside of you, that's where it becomes a problem, because I don't need any validation for what I'm capable of doing. I know what I can do. And like I said, from when we had a conversation, if a person is showing me wanting to work with me and wanting to do things that they normally wouldn't do anyway, and they're helping me do this and trying to get me to the next level, that's all the validation I need to know that I am on the right track. But to continue chasing this image that I need to be the best and I'm going to show off and I'm going to do this and I'm going to tell everybody how great I am, you're only making it worse.
Yes.
You're making yourself to people who really know how you are, or really know the situations or how things go, that you're not really good.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a problem because it's bad. It's a bad outlook. It's a bad way of getting attention.
Yes.
To the point where when attention slows down and people really start to see, then it starts to become a bigger problem and they start to lose themselves. And you have people wanting to commit suicide. Doesn't matter what it is, people can't handle it. They need that validation and attention. And I'm not saying it, please excuse me, I'm not saying that's the only reason why things happen, but I'm just saying that in particular, that with the way things are, people want attention. They're seeking the wrong attention.
Yes.
And it's just, that's what this world is about right now. It's all about how much attention can I get so I can be famous, or how much attention can I get so I can prove that I am better than this person and that and this and that. And that's not what you really want. Because once you get the attention, you can't handle the attention.
Yeah.
It's just sad, man. I think it's sad what's going on in the world and the need for validation, and a lot of people not standing up. I commend the people who are standing up to help other people, but sometimes it's like you can't lead a horse to water. You can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink.
Right. Yeah.
But right now I'm feeling like you can't lead a horse to water anyway.
Right.
Because you're beating a dead horse.
Right.
People don't want your help. They're asking for your help, but they really don't want it.
Yes.
What they really want is to find a way to get the attention they need quick and stomp all over you.
And I have to wonder how much of that is, so I believe there is a parenting aspect to this, and it is important as parents that we take responsibility. Obviously, every child is different. Some children are more, every child needs to be treated differently because every child has a different personality. And some children are a little more difficult for a given parent to handle and manage and help mold in an appreciable way than other children, just because how everything meshes together kind of deal. But on the other side, I believe to our society's number one, monetization of fame is an issue, especially with the way YouTube, etc. works. I mean, you see, we have no real subscribers for all intents and purposes relative to even the majority of YouTube people. Hardly any views. And we didn't get into it for fame, and so that's okay. We were hoping that we could help other people, and hopefully we've done that at least a little bit. But this need to get attention, because I don't know if it's because our society has become too extroverted, and that's probably not the right word, but I'm not a sociologist, so they'll have to forgive me. But what I'm talking about is the concept of when everything is so dispersed, and basically you're a tiny fish in a giant pond, because we do have that globalization. We do have millions of people, hundreds of millions of people online. We have hundreds of millions of people on, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, you name it, Reddit, Twitter. And so there's that need to feel important. And it's much harder to feel important when everything is so large than when you have better socialization. And I think that's really what we're talking about here, is that poor socialization. And so you don't recognize, I don't need to be liked and loved by everyone. In fact, I can't be. And I don't need to be known by everyone. I'm an introvert, so I don't want it. But this thirst for something that is unattainable, and so you have individuals who do whatever they can to get it. They will boast and brag constantly about mundane things in the security field. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've laughed, cried, and just shook my head at some of the videos that you sent from some of these big security YouTubers, not to badmouth anyone, but because I watch their stuff and I'm going, you don't know what you're doing. And all of these people are feeding your ego, so you're not going to learn what you don't know, because they're telling you you're great and you're a god. You're not being challenged. I'm not saying people should be mean. That's 100% not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying that by feeding that ego with beginner videos, getting so much praise and getting all of this attention, more advanced videos, I'm not talking about our content. Like I said, I don't care where we go, clearly. But more advanced content doesn't get the attention it deserves. And so people stay at that beginner level. People learn that beginner level stuff is, the greatest. And we don't see that forward progression that we should be seeing. And instead, we see egos inside of the industry merely perpetuate the myth that so-and-so of such and such is so great. This person at, I'm trying not to give names, but this person who maybe has, I guess, orange or red, or I don't know what you'd call it, a hair color, is so great because look, he did this video on this thing, and you look at the video and you're going, yeah, but this is old news, and he doesn't understand it, and he's wrong. Why is that getting so much attention?
Because, I think it's the people.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people that know nothing or don't really know much about anything. So whatever they see and the first thing they see, they attach to. It's the attachment theory. And this is just coming from sociology and stuff like that. But it's that attachment to things. See, and I'll give an example. I was one of those people, in the way and how I grew up. I didn't have any validation or no love, no affection, no none of that. So I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to people. I don't like dealing with people. I don't know how sometimes to express myself to people. So it's hard for me to even express that. And it's hard for me to show emotions. So, I always looked for validation, but when I found something that I thought would validate me,
yeah,
or make me feel better about things, I attached to that. Like, I'm not going to give any names either, but who I had up in the security community and thought that they were really good at what they did, just to find out at the end that they wasn't. And that broke me because I was so attached to that person and that idea that this person was great. He was, or God, he or she was a god in this industry. And that's what I wanted to be like.
Yeah.
Just to come and figure out that it wasn't, and looking for that attention from that person or more to be great, to be approved that that's that. And even, when I met you, I was like, okay, well, now I know what it really looks like. But do I really need validation from you any more than what you've already given me to prove that I am at a good standing? And that's what I think people need to understand. Look at where you're at. You're not where you're at for no reason. Now, some people probably don't deserve to be in their positions.
We've seen that.
Yeah. But a lot of the times you're where you're at for a reason.
Yeah.
And you just have to know where you're at. Even if you're at a higher level where you shouldn't be, you need to find a mentor. Find somebody to guide you. Right now, we don't have too many people guiding people. We don't have the people that are willing to do it anymore. What they used to call OGs or whatever you know, we don't have those people that can say, no, this is wrong.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing this. This is not how this works. And since we don't have that, we have a misguided generation that thinks that, oh, I don't need you to tell me what to do. I know what to do. I do this. I've been doing for somebody who's been doing it for 20 plus more years. Somebody who hasn't been doing it but 5 or 6 is going to tell you how it should be done, but then want to come and ask you, can you help me?
Right.
But then when you help them, they take credit for your work.
Right. Yes.
They don't give you credit back.
Yes.
Because they want the attention to their self.
And they get snippy and mention things about having degrees or having done development or for so many years or all this other stuff. And I'm just going, I mean, no one was bad mouthing you. If you feel denigrated, it's on you. I think that unfortunately, many of the issues that we see today are because people do not engage with each other at the same level that they should, the same level that we clearly need. Online, 500 friends that you don't know, that you really don't talk to, that's not engagement. I've never seen a happy extrovert.
No, me either. Like I said, I haven't seen one, and like you said, having that gives me everything I need. And I just think it would be better if people had that person they could go to.
It's a quality relationship versus quantity of relationships.
Quality matters, and having that makes a whole difference. And that's just coming from my experience, knowing that, searching for somebody, asking to have somebody teach me, thirsting for knowledge, and not being able to find somebody. And then when you do, you're like, okay, great. Now I feel great about myself. Yes. I feel that I can do so much more. They're not having that person. It makes you feel like, what are you doing?
Yes.
So this is just something that I thought was interesting that we need to talk about, because social media is just taking over everything, and it's brainwashing our kids. It's brainwashing the future generation.
Yes.
To need attention and validation in order to be something.
And destroying their critical thinking skills. It's hard to tell what's true and what isn't for that generation. They are exposed to too much that's fake.
It's way too much. I remember we didn't have as much as going on. I told my kid, I remember you didn't have that you got. I had to figure, like, come on now. Yeah. AI, this is not moving a thing, but you can go in there and tell it what to do. And it's only just pulling stuff out of Google. You can go ask Google the same stuff. But my thing is, you used to have to figure this shit out. You didn't have nobody just giving you anything. You had to literally figure this stuff out. And now it's just like, hey, you can't get them off the social media apps and stuff. They just plugged in.
Yep.
Hey, put it down. Go do something. Go outside and play.
Yep.
Act like a normal kid.
Yep. That's right.
It's just crazy. But anyway, this is our time for today. I'm Ranu.
I'm Duran.
And if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more episodes like this one. Until the next time.
Have fun.
Have fun.